Adapting Blood Meridian is widely considered the ultimate impossible task in Hollywood. To understand why this 2,000-word deep dive is necessary, one must first accept that we aren't just talking about a movie. We are talking about a collision between one of the most violent philosophical pieces of literature in the American canon and a film industry that usually prefers its westerns with a side of heroism. The following is a comprehensive breakdown of the production's history, the unfilmable paradox, and the latest updates from the 2026 production cycle. For decades, a shadow has loomed over Hollywood, a shadow cast by a 7-foot-tall, hairless polymath, and a trail of carnage across the 1849 American frontier. With the recent news that Blood Meridian is finally moving into active pre-production under the direction of John Hillcoat, the cinematic world is holding its breath. This isn't just another book-to-movie adaptation. This is the final boss of literary cinema. To understand why this news is so monumental, we have to look at the source. Published in 1985, Blood Meridian, or The Evening Redness in the West, is the magnum opus of Cormac McCarthy. While audiences might know McCarthy for the Oscar-winning No Country for Old Men or the hauntingly gray The Road, Blood Meridian makes those stories look like bedtime tales. It is a visceral, philosophical fever dream that follows an unnamed teenager known only as the Kid. He joins the Glanton Gang, a historical group of scalp hunters who turned the US-Mexico border into a slaughterhouse. The novel is a primordial exploration of human violence. It lacks traditional punctuation, rejects standard hero arcs, and replaces them with a nihilistic exploration of war as the ultimate trade of man. For 40 years, the consensus has remained: the book is fundamentally unfilmable. But as of 2026, that fact is finally being put to the test. Chapter 1: The Trail of Failed Ambitions. The history of Blood Meridian in Hollywood is a graveyard of what-ifs. Before John Hillcoat took the reins, some of the greatest minds in cinema tried and failed to tame the beast. The Tommy Lee Jones era, the late 90s. In the late 1990s, Tommy Lee Jones acquired the film rights. Jones was a close personal friend of McCarthy and understood the author's rhythm better than most. He envisioned a hyper-faithful adaptation, reportedly eyeing Jack Nicholson for the role of Judge Holden. However, his refusal to sanitize the script was his undoing. Financiers were horrified by the level of graphic violence, specifically the infamous Tree of Dead Babies and the relentless scalping scenes that his adaptation would have entailed. The project collapsed because Jones refused to compromise the book's soul for a PG-13 or even a standard R rating. The Ridley Scott attempt, 2004 to 2008. Next came Ridley Scott, fresh off Gladiator. Working with writer William Monahan, The Departed, Scott actually completed a screenplay for Paramount Pictures. But even the man who gave us the chest burster in Alien found the source material daunting. Scott famously remarked, "We got it down as a screenplay. The problem is that it's so savage. If you did it properly, it would be an X certificate." In an industry where a $100 million budget requires a broad audience to recoup costs, Scott realized that a truly faithful Blood Meridian was a financial suicide mission. The James Franco Heist, 2011 to 2016. James Franco's attempt is perhaps the most bizarre chapter. Franco, a McCarthy obsessive, shot 20 minutes of test footage in 2011 starring Scott Glenn, Mark Pellegrino, and his brother Dave Franco. By 2016, he claimed to be moving forward with a cast including Russell Crowe and Ty Sheridan. However, the production was halted overnight due to an undisclosed rights issue. It was later suggested that the McCarthy estate and producer Scott Rudin were never fully on board with Franco's vision, which many fans feared would lack the gravitas the novel deserved. Chapter 2: The Hillcoat Breakthrough, 2023 to 2026. In 2023, the project finally found its ideal shepherd, John Hillcoat. Hillcoat has a pedigree that no other director on this list can claim. He has already successfully adapted McCarthy, The Road, and directed one of the best acid westerns of the modern era, The Proposition. The McCarthy Partnership. Before his death on June 13, 2023, Cormac McCarthy did something he had never done for any other filmmaker. He agreed to co-write the screenplay. This was the ultimate seal of approval. Hillcoat revealed in interviews that he and McCarthy spent years having 3 to 5 hour lunches, meticulously breaking down the book's philosophy. McCarthy reportedly felt the book was filmable, but not all of it, hinting at a retooling of its structure for the screen. The John Logan completion, updated for 2026. Following McCarthy's passing at age 89, many feared the project would die with him. However, as of early 2026, major progress has been made. John Logan, Gladiator, Skyfall, The Aviator, was brought in to finalize the script. Logan, a 3-time Oscar nominee, has been working closely with McCarthy's son, John Francis McCarthy, who serves as an executive producer. Logan's task has been to take the hours and hours of recorded conversations and notes between Hillcoat and McCarthy and weave them into a final shooting script. Insiders suggest the script is now finished and focuses heavily on the Gothic Western atmosphere, rather than just the linear carnage of the scalp-hunting expedition. Chapter 3. Why is it unfilmable? The term unfilmable is thrown around a lot, but for Blood Meridian, it refers to 3 distinct layers of difficulty: the prose, the violence, and the judge. The problem of the prose. McCarthy's writing is biblical, archaic, and polysyndetic, using and repeatedly to create a relentless, rhythmic pace. He describes a sunset not just as light, but as a red and terrible sun that seemed to be some great furnace. When you film a sunset, it's just a sunset. The book's power lies in the narration, not just the dialogue. To solve this, Hillcoat is reportedly leaning into visual poetry, using high-contrast 70mm cinematography to let the landscape speak in place of the prose. The ethics of violence. The violence in Blood Meridian is not cool or cinematic in the Tarantino sense. It is exhausting, repetitive, and devoid of justice. Showing it literally can lead to gore fatigue, where the audience become desensitized. However, sanitizing it would betray the book's core message, that violence is the baseline of human history. Hillcoat faces the impossible task of showing enough to haunt the viewer without making the film unwatchable. The character of Judge Holden. The judge is often cited as the greatest antagonist in American literature. He is 7 feet tall, completely hairless, highly intelligent, and seemingly immortal. He is less a man and more a personification of war itself. Updated production insight, 2026. Recent reports suggest the film version of the judge might be more Hitchcockian. In the book, the judge delivers long, dense philosophical monologues about how war is God. Hillcoat noted that in a film, these could take the viewer out of the story, if not handled carefully. The current creative direction involves a judge who says less but whose presence is felt through a terrifying, silent omniscience. Chapter 4. Casting the Impossible. Current 2026. Rumors. In 2026, the industry is fixated on the most daunting casting call in modern history: finding actors to embody the brutal world of John Hillcoat's Blood Meridian. The Judge Holden casting remains the project's central X factor. While fans long campaigned for Vincent D'Onofrio's intellectual menace, rumors from late 2025 suggest a pivot towards Stellan Skarsgård, following his transformative turn in Dune. However, Hillcoat may choose a radical third path, casting a total unknown, perhaps a 7-foot-tall theater actor, to ensure the judge feels entirely other than human. For the kid, the search centers on a performer who can convey soul-eroding trauma through silence. Though Ty Sheridan was a perennial favorite, his age has opened doors for Charlie Plummer or Paul Mescal to play the battle-hardened teenager. Leading the gang is John Glanton. Frequent Hillcoat collaborator Guy Pearce is a frontrunner, potentially playing the dark mirror to his role in The Proposition. Josh Brolin also remains in the conversation, possessing the rugged McCarthy cadence required for the doomed expedition leader. This casting isn't just about talent, it's about finding actors who can survive the grueling physical and psychological demands of a script written by John Logan in collaboration with the late McCarthy. Ultimately, the film's success hinges on the chemistry between these men, where Glanton provides the physical leadership, but the judge provides the spiritual darkness. With filming reportedly scouting locations in New Mexico and the Chihuahuan Desert, as of January 2026, the transition from page to screen is closer than ever. Chapter 5. The historical backdrop. Part of the expansion of the film's scope in 2026 involves a deeper dive into the historical accuracy of the Glanton Gang. Unlike many westerns that mythologize the frontier, Hillcoat is reportedly using research into the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo and the actual journals of Samuel Chamberlain, My Confession, who was the real-life basis for The Kid. By leaning into the histories with a lowercase h, the fates of the marginalized groups decimated by the westward expansion, the film aims to be more than just a horror story. It is being positioned as a Gothic Americana epic that interrogates the very idea of manifest destiny. This historical grounding is what John Logan is reportedly using to bridge the gap between McCarthy's abstract philosophy and a 120-minute narrative. Chapter 6. The 2026 Perspective on Nihilism. Why make this movie now? In 2026, the cinematic landscape has shifted. The success of uncompromising media like The Last of Us or the brutal realism of The Revenant has proven that modern audiences have the stomach for prestige grimness. Furthermore, the acid western genre is seeing a resurgence. These are films that deconstruct the Western myth, showing the desert as a place of madness rather than opportunity. Hillcoat's version of Blood Meridian is expected to be the pinnacle of this genre, a film that doesn't just show a story, but creates a fever dream state for the audience. Conclusion: a legacy at stake. The 28-year wait to see Blood Meridian on the big screen may finally be coming to an end. With John Hillcoat's proven track record, John Logan's blockbuster pen, and the posthumous guidance of Cormac McCarthy himself, the unfilmable label is finally being peeled away. However, the question remains, should it be filmed? There is a beauty in the prose of Blood Meridian that can only exist in the space between the words and the reader's imagination. By putting a face on the judge and a camera on the violence, we risk losing the ineffable quality that makes the book a masterpiece. But as McCarthy once said, it would need someone with a bountiful imagination and a lot of balls. And it seems Hillcoat is determined to be that person. What do you stand on the idea of adapting Blood Meridian? Do you think a 2,000-word script or a 3-hour movie can ever truly do justice to the evening redness in the West? Let me know your thoughts on the casting of the judge below. And if you're interested, I can break down the specific filming locations in the Mexican desert that the production is scouting for late 2026.